Wouldn't it be better if you put her someplace?
You mean an institution? A madhouse?
You just found the marble in the oatmeal. You're a lucky, lucky, lucky little boy. Do you know why? You get to drink from the fire hose! Okay, you ready? Open wide! I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Hey, you want to see treasure?
You really are crazy.
I don't get it, Doc. I mean, how can all this be happening? It's like we're in hell or something.
No, it's Hill Valley, although I can't imagine hell being much worse.
Now you want to get nuts? Shut up, you freak! Come on! I said shut up! It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
Hello and welcome to Movie Madhouse, a Who Watches podcast about movies lost to the annals of time. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I'm Alex Brunel.
And I'm Dustin Meadows.
And
Yay, Dustin's here on the show now.
Yeah. We are going to be covering a movie that was not so much lost, but buried with the hopes of never being seen again.
That's not even a little bit true. This movie has been released on every major home media format. It is coming out on 4K really soon.
It is nuts to me that demand exists for that to happen.
So, this movie there was like a period of 5 years where people were very concerned this would never be on DVD. And then like a year after the definitive bootleg restoration was completed, like it came out on DVD with like deleted scenes and commentary tracks and retrospective documentaries and the whole nine, man.
So yeah, it's Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
It's about duck in time.
There we go.
Yeah. Nothing but duck puns. Whole show. Which is pretty much what the movie did.
Yeah.
The first note that I have.
The whole wallet. So yeah, for anyone who's unfamiliar, Howard the Duck was a Lucasfilm production distributed through Universal Pictures, 1986, based on a Marvel comic book character that is a duck named Howard.
The first live-action Marvel movie.
Theatrical, right? That's the stipulation.
Yes,
there?
first theatrical.
Okay, because there are Captain America TV movies, there's a Doctor Strange TV movie,
movies,
and all this stuff. Okay, so yeah, the first live-action theatrical Marvel film, which is a whole thing, character that doesn't make a ton of sense, is very much a comic book character and is a weird thing to go for like directly. Like I said, this was a Lucasfilm production. This wasn't like George Lucas like signed a piece of paper and said, yeah, Howard the Duck sounds like a good idea, and then just kind of let it happen under his watch. Like, he actively made this movie happen. It was co-written and directed by Willard Huyck? Huyck?
Hoyt, yeah.
Huyck? Okay.
Huyck.
They went to USC together. They knew each other for a really long time. And Lucas brought up the idea of adapting a comic book movie as early as 1974 to Willard. And so in 84, after Return of the Jedi and after all like Star Wars was like settling kind of, Lucas stepped down as president of Lucasfilm to concentrate more on producing films, and eventually, and he settled on this one. He wanted Howard the Duck to be like the first thing he did pushing as a producer. And eventually, Universal optioned for distribution. Apparently, notorious Hollywood shitbird Sid Sheinberg was just chomping at the bit to work with George Lucas, but he would later deny any involvement with this movie. In classic Sheinberg fashion. This is the year before he blocked the release of Brazil in the United States, and the same year probably that he offered all of those brilliant suggestions on Back to the Future that made no sense at all. If you're unfamiliar with Sid Sheinberg's like notes on the Back to the Future script, like look that up. It's hilarious.
Was he the one that wanted to retitle it?
Yeah, because he didn't Like, the time travel aspect was not interesting to him. He wanted to downplay that because it wouldn't sell.
Yeah, nobody's interested in that.
It's a whole thing. It's the letter itself is like reproduced in the Back to the Future like behind the scenes books that came out a couple of years ago. It's really great. So Huyck and Katz, his wife Gloria Katz, was the co-writer on the film. Really wanted the film to be animated, but Universal demanded a live-action movie with ILM special effects. Like, that was part of the deal that they thought they were getting into by working with Lucasfilm, is they wanted a movie with live-action ILM effects. And there's a bit of a tangent I could go on here, but that's actually, I think, the most interesting thing about this movie's existence altogether is this one unintended consequence. So I'm going to get to that at the end of all this crap. Wow. During the writing process, the focus of the film shifted from adapting, like, the comic book was a dark satire and surrealist and kind of noir, and really they shifted it over to be like a light effects-driven comedy, which we got. And Howard is like a jerk, but he's like a lovable jerk, and in the comic books he's just kind of like a real jerk. And the supernatural elements were beefed up just so there would be some excuses for effects that ILM could do, which is why we got this beautiful Phil Tippett monster toward the end of the movie that I would love to know more about, because the animation was so fluid. We'll get there. Anyway, apparently $2 million was spent to make Howard's suit. 8 different actors worked inside it for different purposes, and they constantly had to consult with Disney to make sure it didn't resemble Donald Duck too closely, and they had to redesign his bill several times.
Oh. Yeah.
These are things. These are things.
The comic book
I have to think about.
Just like Donald.
It's just it's just a duck. It's just a cartoon duck. The movie features a bunch of songs and a fake band, Cherry Bomb, Leah Thompson and her bandmates, who that's actually Leah Thompson singing in the whole movie. They thought they were going to dub her over all through production, but they hired She Blinded Me with Science's Thomas Dolby to write the original songs for this movie. They originally contracted him to do 1, then he wound up doing 5, and one of them was co-written with George Clinton.
Wow.
I think maybe the theme song even was co-written with Clinton. I can't remember.
So yeah, all the McFlys, musically talented.
Totally. So he took his job with the music on this movie very seriously. So he wanted the girls to like seem like a real band. So he taught them all how to play their songs on their respective instruments, and trained Leah Thompson to sing, and like put them through choreography rehearsals, and like made them a real band. And it kind of shows. Like they play well enough to look like a real band. And right, I have this relic right here. The 12-inch Howard the Duck theme song by Dolby's Cube, which is like the weird Dolby side project name on this record. There's Cherry Bomb on the back, looking like hot as shit. We're swearing on this one. There's duck boobs in this movie. This is not a PG movie. I don't care what that title card says at the end of the film.
Oh, that's what Sarah said. She's like, "You did not watch this as a kid." I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And she's like, "This is rated PG-13, right?" And I know it's PG. PG-13 only existed for like 2 years when this came out.
Yeah, it wasn't considered.
Yeah, they knew of a thing. They didn't know what to do with it.
So the movie's done. Following a test screening, Universal execs Sid Sheinberg and Frank Price were allegedly arguing about who was to blame for greenlighting this movie, and that ended in a fist fight. And there was a little bit more behind the scenes kerfuffling. John Barry is the credited composer for the score, but they didn't really like his score very much. They thought it was too old-fashioned and it lacked energy. So Sylvester LeVay was brought in to rescore like a bunch of the movie, and the whole final act is like rescored from the original score by John Barry. Entrada did a really unbelievably comprehensive 3 CD limited edition soundtrack release of like all the music that got used and all the stuff that didn't. I'm sure there's still many copies available for anybody that's interested. But here's the thing that I think is the most interesting thing about Howard the Duck. Lucas was using a lot of money to prop up this production, like a lot of Lucasfilm's liquid money. And like I mentioned, it was
all that toy money.
All the toy money. And it's all going into Howard the Duck. And like I said, they originally wanted it to be an animated movie. And they had a group set up that was a new subset of ILM that had just been recently put together called the Graphics Group. And that was this was intended to basically be their pilot project. This was supposed to be their first big thing where like Duck World would be this computer animated creation. They could make anything. There would maybe be some blending with live action stuff on Earth, but the idea was for it to be largely animated. But then there was Universal's demand for a live action movie with ILM visual effects and not computer animation. They didn't want an animated movie because they didn't make money, apparently. This was like mid 80s, so like
during the 80s. It wasn't until the 90s
that it came back.
Were big.
So basically Lucas needed some money, and there was this whole wing of ILM that he had that was ready to go that was now just sitting idle because they couldn't work on the thing that he kind of like really wanted them to be for. And he wound up selling the graphics group to Steve Jobs. As that company evolved, that company became Pixar. And yeah, it just baffles me that like Howard the Duck was so hemorrhaging money during its production phase that Lucas had to sell what would become like this unbelievable groundbreaking animation studio, and that was what he originally wanted to make the movie with, was those people and those ideas. And I just love there's this footnote about Howard the Duck that had this movie been successful or had things gone better leading up to its production or during production, there's an alternate universe in which like Lucas never sold Pixar or Toy Story doesn't get made or like something else has that breakthrough. And Howard the Duck is the linchpin of that moment in Hollywood history. And yeah, that's what I like most about the background of Howard the Duck, aside from the Thomas Dolby songs, which are great. So yeah, that's my TED Talk on Howard the Duck and its background.
Wow. Recently looking at a map of Disney's Hollywood studios, in which it goes from the Star Wars land, Galaxy's Edge, into Toy Story land and Pixar. So there needs to be like a Howard the Duck little footnote, like in between both parks.
Yeah, the Howard Bridge.
Yeah.
It bridges the two together. Because it does. And yeah, I mean, say what you will about the movie, it does a lot of things that are unbelievably questionable.
Yeah, I can't imagine a lot of the stuff in here being in an animated movie that would have been targeted probably more towards kids than this was, even though I did watch it as a kid.
Right.
But in the 80s, that was happening. Like the Transformers movie, I know, is darker for children's fare.
Right. I guess, you know what? It's been so long since we've done a Movie Madhouse. We forgot to just ask what we thought of the movie or what we think of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we think of this movie? Dustin, what did you think of this movie? It's been a long time since you had seen it. I saw it last July.
It's definitely a movie. I have not seen it since I was a kid. Literally all I remembered about the movie was that Leah Thompson was in it, and she had a band, and I remembered that Jeffrey Jones was the villain, or became the villain. Completely forgot about Tim Robbins, and I definitely forgot that there are not one, but two instances of duck titties in this movie.
Yeah, not only that, they're literally within the first 5 minutes. Before the counter even flips over to 5 minutes into the movie, you've already seen anthropomorphized duck boobs 2 times.
Oh yeah, it's there are definitely a lot of things that I didn't like. The fact that this movie is almost 2 hours long is insane. Like, this movie is way too long, and like I honestly I think this movie would have worked if, instead of messing with the Dark Overlord stuff, if Howard had just been stuck in Cleveland and become the manager of the band, like within the first 10 minutes of meeting her, and they just followed the band for the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, I would love, like, give me Almost Famous with Cherry Bomb and Howard the Duck.
Oh my God, I would love that movie so much. That's almost the movie that's set up by the end of this movie.
Exactly. And it's the same problem I have with Forbidden Kingdom. In the last 10 minutes, they set up what would have ultimately been a way better and more interesting movie.
Yeah.
So those are my big gripes with it. Like, I think this movie could get made now, like as a live action, maybe combination anime. Like, I think if like maybe a Judd Apatow, or maybe not a Judd Apatow because his movies are too long too, but like an Edgar Wright or a Peyton Reed, and you get. I honestly, I think you knocked this out of the park. You get John Benjamin or Danny McBride to voice Howard, and you got a solid, and you just play it as a comedy, you're set.
Yeah, literally anyone but Ryan Reynolds, please.
Yeah, I like Ryan Reynolds, but he's not Howard the Duck.
No.
So, but yeah, I hated a lot of it, but there are definitely parts of it, and we'll talk about them. I'll talk about those more when we start going through the movie. But like, I think there are parts of this that work in spite of itself. Yeah. Like, the costume especially, like that could have looked so much worse than it did.
The costume is actually really, really impressive. I mean, like, this is the same effects team that brought us Jabba the Hutt and like everything that looked amazing in Return of the Jedi. It's like literally the same people. Tim Rose was one of the guys controlling Howard's face, and he provided the voice on set apparently. So
I was so happy. In the opening credits, Tim Rose he's credited as an actor. I'm like, this is awesome.
And like the face is really emotive.
Yeah, like at no point was I like this costume doesn't work for me. This is taking me out of it. It's like, no, this is like the most consistent part of the movie is
totally.
This effect.
Yeah, it actually makes Howard a pretty believable thing. Like, you can make him into a person in your head pretty easily, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I like this movie. I've seen this movie a lot. I guess I never. This is one of those movies that, like, with the first time I saw it, I didn't understand why it was hated. Like, I could see that it's dumb and wrong and kind of bad, but I didn't think it was, like, offensive. I thought it was super fun. And I think now that... And that was, like, at the end of high school or college when I saw this movie for the first time. I didn't grow up with this movie. But I still really enjoy it. Again, I don't think it's great, but I think, like... mechanically it's not bad. It's not the way to treat the source material, but like mechanically as a movie, the act structure is good. The rising and falling action, the twists are interesting enough for what this movie asks of us as an audience. You know, it is pretty propellant. Even like Dustin, you were talking about before the show, like there's a diner scene that goes on like way too long. There are scenes, there are parts where the movie drags, but it's never like, I don't know, I'd never maybe want to like fast forward the movie or skip anything. I think it's really pleasing to look at. One of my favorite things about it, and I talk about these, I call out a couple of these people in the personnel rundown, but I don't know if I can think of another movie that is such a perfect encapsulation of all of, it's like the height of 80s hair and fashion is completely exhibited in this movie. There's no two people with the same hairstyle in the entire movie, and they're all amazing. The wardrobe similarly is like so of the moment. And the music too is all very, it just evokes like a really specific period to me, and I really like it for that reason also. And I like the way the effects are a lot. Like a lot of the effects are either, there is some like composite work, but a lot of it is just practical stuff and then cell animation on top of it. It's like really basic special effects techniques, but they're used extremely effectively here, I think. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on Howard the Duck. I'm pro Howard the Duck. Let's buy it on 4K.
I watched this movie as a kid. I was probably like 10 years old when I saw it the first time. I found it kind of scary.
Interesting.
As I recall. You're going to be like, oh yeah, Dark Overlord stuff. It was not Dark Overlord. It was the scene in the bar where Howard gets upset and he gets the ice pick out. And I'm like, I actually like skipped that part because I thought he was gonna like stab the dude in the face to death.
Well, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, this movie tonally is all over the place.
Yeah, it is. The only member of the cast I think that really understands the tone of the movie, or the tone that the movie should have been, is Tim Robbins.
Yes, one of the notes I had is I think Tim Robbins thinks he is in a different movie than the one being made, but in every single scene he is in the same movie at least.
Yeah, I think it's more that Tim Robbins was the only one that realized the movie he was in.
Yes.
Jeffrey Jones kind of gets there, and there's a couple moments where Leah Thompson approaches. There's like 2 scenes where Leah Thompson gets heightened enough that she almost passes into the absurdist thing that Tim Robbins is in.
And I don't think either of them are bad in the movie.
No.
I think just the story is so all over the place that like their character motivations are just shifting throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think also with Leah Thompson, she was just coming off of Back to the Future, which is a high concept. On the page could seem kind of a silly thing, but with grounded performances. And so maybe coming off of that, she's like, I'm going to do the same thing. Like, I trust like whatever's going to be going on in the post process, the director's vision, we're going to do this again. And that was not what was going on.
Yeah, no. When we were talking about the background of the movie, I should have flashed to these behind the scenes photos you sent, Travis. Should I show these now?
True. Yeah, you could go ahead and do that.
Here's this one. I don't know if you guys are watching the video stream somewheres.
I've got the photos.
I'm shaking off the dust in the movie Madhouse, the movie Madhouse attic over here. I don't remember how to pilot this show. I'm feeling my way through it here, people.
We get to see the amazing animatronic head.
Yeah, this head is insane. This is such a beautiful thing. Apparently a head sold at auction, like a remote head, one of the ones like this that had all the controls in it, sold at auction. But later, like a beat up full body did not sell at auction. No one wanted the kind of decayed full body Howard. I remember seeing pictures of it. It looked very sad. This is Phil Tippett working on the Dark Overlord monster, which is looks like a cross between a Rancor from Return of the Jedi and Crab People from South Park.
I'd agree.
That's like Harryhausen quality design too. Like that's really great.
It's a really great design. Yeah.
I wasn't super into the Dark Overlord plot thread, but I did like that creature effect. I thought was really cool.
Yeah. And I mean, we're looking at this now. We might as well just talk about the way this effects look a little bit. It's very smooth. Like I almost wondered because like didn't they use a thing
probably
like
Go Motion.
Was it Go Motion? That's what I was wondering.
I would guess at this point they were probably using that.
Well, this would have been an early example of Go Motion then, right? Because they made a big deal out of using it on RoboCop, which wasn't until the next year.
Yeah. But no, I agree. It looks so good. And I love watching, Phil Tippett's work in the 80s and really, anybody who's doing stop motion at this time, because it was this art form that was, been around for decades, and it was about to go away. They didn't realize it, but like you get to see this like about to reach its peak before it became, you know, something that was not used anymore.
Exactly.
So I really appreciate seeing it at this point in time.
Yeah, same. It's like the best it could possibly be.
This will probably be the only instance ever that I give it anything to Howard the Duck over RoboCop. But I think that creature movement looked smoother than the Ed 209 in RoboCop.
Yeah, gotta agree.
And I say that as a person who unapologetically stands for RoboCop. So
yeah, same. And then here's this third shot we have of sorry, NSFW here, not safe for work right now.
That's with the Hoik man himself, with his poking his head through the hole there.
So that's Hoik and Katz and Lucas. I would assume that that's Gloria Katz in the middle.
That is Gloria Katz, yes.
And then the man really responsible for all this. But yeah, the posing with the duck boobs. I mean,
I really wish that was George wearing the flannel shirt.
Yeah. And then I have some screen caps from the movie toward the end that I just wanted to cite specific things about. But we'll go to those later.
I'm gonna have nightmares now about this topless duck with human legs.
Yeah.
You should.
What purpose do those serve? They're, you know, they're foul. They're not mammals.
And Howard doesn't have those kind of legs either. Howard's got fuzzy legs, we see later.
Fuzzy? I thought they were like rubbery.
I thought they were just white stalks.
No, they're like orange.
Are they?
No, I think the only reason we're seeing human legs is probably because it's just a top half costume. Because that is not the angle you see that duck in during that scene.
No, it's not.
It is a straight on shot, so you just see from the bathtub up.
This is so silly. What else do we got here? I got some personnel. Unless Travis, do you have something do you want to verify this legs thing before moving on to another topic?
I don't have anything right now.
I'll believe you. My memory's probably faulty. Let's see. Hoik and Katz, they basically have the same writing credits. They were married since 1969.
Nice.
Not a ton else on their resume, and unfortunately, like, this movie really killed Hoik's directing career. But the two of them, they co-wrote American Graffiti, Temple of Doom, Radioland Murders. Apparently, Hoik did some uncredited work on the original Star Wars. This is a very upsetting picture that Travis just sent us on Reddit. I'm not going to cut to it. I'll save everybody that. Richard H. Klein, the director of photography. I think I found things in here, Travis, that would be Trek connections, except you wouldn't have found them because I did the research on this part. The DP shot The Andromeda Strain, Soylent Green, Battle for the Planet of the Apes, Terminal Man, King Kong 1976, and Star Trek The Motion Picture.
Oh.
And My Stepmother is an Alien. That was one of his last movies. He passed away in 2018. Peter Jameson was the production designer. Also designed Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Weekend at Bernie's, RoboCop 2, Point Break, Beverly Hillbillies, Empire Records, Black Sheep, and House Arrest. He was also the Empire on Mulholland Drive and passed in 2010. But good career. These two I'm going to call out because of the fashion stuff I was talking about earlier. Joe I. Tompkins, the costume designer. He was also a costume designer on Memoirs of an Invisible Man, the John Carpenter Chevy Chase movie that's like really bad. And Species. And Joy Zapata is the hairstylist. Long career. Some of the titles that popped out at me were Tron, Inner Space, most of Next Gen and Generations. And at least Nemesis, but maybe First Contact and Insurrection too. Mars Attacks, Galaxy Quest, Anchorman. This woman is a master of hairstyling. So that's nice.
That's a solid resume.
Joe Johnson, basically the ultralight flying sequence, like the light aircraft sequence that Tim Robbins and Howard fly, which actually Ed Gale in a Howard suit and Tim Robbins actually had to fly that thing for a few shots, and that's insane. That sequence was so complicated that they split the movie off into its own third unit. They split it off into a third unit that was being directed by Joe Johnson just to get that sequence. So Mr. Joe Johnson comes in to save a movie again, just like he did with, I think that was the first Ewok movie, right? That Joe Johnson backseat directed a bunch of. Oh no, it was Battle for Endor because Wilford Brimley liked him. Mm-hmm. So coming hot off of Ewoks: The Battle for Endor, he goes to direct the hang gliding, a very similar aerial sequence in this. And Ben Burt worked as a re-recording mixer and sound effects editor on this movie, and it's just good to know that those sounds came out of Ben Burt. Yeah.
Very nice.
I hear ominous whooshing.
That was probably my fan.
All right. Is that all we got for the crew?
Yeah, that's all I felt like really bringing up. I think I talked about a lot of people. You have some Trek connections, some pretty good Trek connections.
I think first we'll start with just the cast in general.
Oh yeah.
Then I'll move on to that.
Right. That's how the show goes. Mm-hmm.
So Howard, his voice, he was played by multiple people. The most prominent being Ed Gale, who's the body. He made his debut as a dink in Spaceballs, and then moved on to this. He's done other things such as he was doing stunts for Chucky in Child's Play, and he was also in the movie Tiptoes, the very bizarre movie Tiptoes.
Oh my God, he was in Tiptoes?
Yeah.
That's the one where Gary Oldman plays a little person, yes?
Yeah, guys, I just have to tell you a quick aside on Tiptoes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But do you guys remember the movie The Forbidden Zone?
I remember because you're the reason I watched it.
Right. Travis, did I ever make you watch The Forbidden Zone where Danny Elfman briefly plays the devil?
No.
And it's a musical directed by Richard Elfman. So Richard Elfman is Danny Elfman's brother. They had a theater troupe called the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo, which became the band Oingo Boingo. But they did this big, weird theatrical show, and they kind of made a movie out of it called Forbidden Zone. And it was directed by Richard Elfman, who's Danny's brother. And his chief co-conspirator on the movie was this guy named Matthew Bright, who plays a couple characters in the movie. Matthew Bright would later go on to make Freeway and Freeway 2 Confessions of a Trick Baby. Both movies that I love and I think are great. And the most recent movie that man made is Tiptoes. So, Dustin, just know that the guy who made Tiptoes is half of what came up with Forbidden Zone.
I mean, that tracks it. You can't get Hervé Villechaize because he's dead. You might as well get Gary Oldman.
Exactly.
That also, aside from Danny Elfman being the devil, the only other thing I remember is Hervé Villechaize being very horny the entire movie.
It's true, he is. He is, and because he was actually with Susan Tyrrell at the time, so they're very touchy-feely the whole movie because they're actually a couple. And Hervé Villechaize was horny, so
yes. Knick-knack getting his knickknacks.
Okay, so sorry to diverge on Tiptoes. I just needed you guys to know.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it qualifies as a movie we would cover.
Oh, what's more? There's supposed to be a longer director's cut that's actually really good. A couple people actors from the movie have said that, and I really want to see the Matthew Bright director's cut of the movie that absolutely should not exist, where Gary Oldman plays a little person. I want to see the version of that that's good.
It's got a huge stellar cast too.
It's nuts. Cast. Everyone in that movie lost a bet, or Matthew Bright has dirt on them.
There's like a
he
bunch of
knows.
behind the scenes footage of it on YouTube. Like literally, you could watch hours of behind the scenes footage of Tiptoes on YouTube.
It's nuts to me that McConaughey understandably did Texas Chainsaw Next Generation early in his career. Totally understand why you would do that as a young actor who hasn't quite made it. Why you would do Tiptoes, like at a point where your career is good and you can say no to something like that, is beyond me.
All right.
There you go.
Bodies are buried. Matthew Bright knows where.
Almost certainly true. And by the way, Freeway 2 Confessions of a Trick Baby is available on Blu-ray now. I suggest people buy it. It's a great movie. Okay, so back to
That's
Howard
our
the
first
Duck.
actor.
I have stories for every single one, I promise.
All right. And then next credited, for Howard, so there are quite a few. There's Chip Zun, who he did the voice for Howard. And he doesn't really have a whole lot. He doesn't have a huge resume. It is a huge, expansive resume, but nothing really of note. He was in United 93, The Siege, Snake Eyes, Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes.
I've seen that movie 3 times.
And then we got, Tim Rose, who is, most famous for doing the puppeteering work for Admiral Akbar. He also did Salacious Crumb.
Yeah.
And he was TikTok in Return to Oz.
He was TikTok?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
No, me neither, until I was looking at this. I'm
Oh
like,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Return to Oz.
That's a movie that's appropriate for this show.
Yeah,
Terrifying
some
movie.
fun child-friendly nightmare fuel.
I would love to revisit Return to Oz, actually.
It's on Disney Plus.
Oh my god. That should have a parental lock on it.
Finally, we'll hit our Fairuza bulk requisite. Check that off the list. She's in that one, right?
Yeah. Young Fairuza. Yeah, no, we should discuss that further, though. I really think we should cover Return to Oz.
Mm-hmm. Quite a few other people who played him. Nobody really of note. Then we got, of course, Leah Thompson, who was most famous for playing Lorraine in the Back to the Future movies. She made one of her earliest roles. She was in Jaws 3D.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember who she is in that, but her and Dennis Quaid.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that in a bar once.
I feel like that's probably the way to watch it.
Did you have the 3D glasses on?
No, unfortunately.
She's in All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise in that same year earlier in her career. And then she decided she was going to join her Back to the Future castmate Christopher Lloyd and play Alice Mitchell in the Dennis the Menace movie.
Oh, yeah. I forgot she was in that.
Yeah. Well, I'd both forgotten she was in that. And then when I realized she was in it, I was like, Christopher Lloyd's in that too. It's a little reunion.
Yeah.
That's pretty cute.
The villain. She was in Red Dawn as well, yes?
That might be true.
I've only seen Red Dawn once.
Same, and it's been a couple of years, but I feel like she's in it.
I did read that she was devastated by how bad this movie did, because she was really riding high off the success of Back to the Future, and she was very concerned that she wouldn't be able to work after this. So what she did is got herself a part in Some Kind of Wonderful, which was a hit. Mm-hmm. And then she was saved.
Yeah,
it's true. She was in Red Dawn.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was reading too. She put a lot of effort into her audition for this.
Yeah, what did you read?
What I read was she essentially went thrifting and basically tried to look as close to Cyndi Lauper and Madonna as she could for her audition.
Nice.
Which apparently worked.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and she really is. She's great in this. This movie
she is
not super great, but I think she's definitely one of the highlights.
Yeah, she's committed in a way that like you believe it. It like as much chemistry as one can have with like an animatronic anthropomorphized duck. Like she has all of it.
Yeah. She wants to be with this duck at one point.
Yeah, this movie is not bad because of her performance. This movie is bad because they won't commit fully to wanting her to have sex with this duck.
What it does? My main question about that is: does Howard have a giant corkscrew penis?
Probably have to.
He would have to,
right?
But also we see what presumably is either a used or no good condom.
That condom was
unwrapped.
filthy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Unwrapped.
could be from wallet or it could be from duck seed. Like,
I think what he does is he uses it and then he washes it out and rolls it back up and puts it in his wallet.
Oh God.
like you could have had a small condom wrapper, and I'm sure you could have come up with a duck pun condom brand and just shown us that.
Yeah.
But they doubled down. They're like, this was around this humanoid duck's corkscrew dick. He definitely used it at some point, and then instead of throwing it in the trash can like a normal sexually active duck man would, he just put it back in his wallet.
And the movie kind of sets him up as a ladies' man, no? Like at the very beginning of the movie, he's got these messages playing on his answering machine from like 3 different duck women.
Oh yeah, well, and he's in a successful rock band, or was?
No, he was.
No,
now he's a
failed.
copywriter. The band failed.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, Howard and the Heartbreakers. No relation to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Gotcha. But he wanted to be a songwriter, right? He says that at one point.
Yeah.
Okay. And he clearly knows how to play guitar to some extent.
Yeah. Those fat fingers find their way around that neck pretty well.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Leah Thompson. Round of applause.
And then we got Tim Robbins. We got a young baby-faced Tim Robbins here.
He's so good in this movie.
And I mean, Shawshank Redemption, The Player, Hudsucker Proxy, IQ, the crazy guy from War of the Worlds. So many things. The guy they killed in Team America.
War of the Worlds. Yeah. The only performance I can think of the only other performance like this that I can remember seeing by Tim Robbins is Hudsucker. I can't think of another movie where he kind of goes this like zany.
Yeah, he's playing.
I just watched like this week as well.
That's great. Hudsucker is such a great movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is very broad for Tim Robbins.
Yeah. He really does it though. It's so good.
Which like seeing this, and again, this is one of the other highlights of the movie. Is like, why isn't Tim Robbins cast in roles like this way more often? Because he's great at it.
He's so good. It's like he got out of that fit. Like John C. Reilly never chose one or the other. He just keeps doing the insane stuff and the acting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Tim Robbins just like went down the serious path. Paxton did the same thing to a certain extent, although he never went like as kind of big and broad as Robbins did.
Yeah.
But Paxton got less funny as the years went on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Like that just happened with guys in the 80s because you had Tom Hanks doing similar stuff, and now
Keaton too.
Yeah, Tom Hanks now. But then you get to see like Lady Killers Tom Hanks, and you're like, oh, I want more of that.
Yeah. See, like he'll still do it if the thing is right, because Lady Killers definitely exists, and that's from this century. So.
Yeah.
Although it is coming up on 20 years old now, so there.
All right. And then other people, we've got Paul Guilfoyle, who was Lieutenant Walker, was hot on their tail. And he's a character actor. He's in LA Confidential, Air Force One, he's in Quiz Show.
Yeah. He's Mickey Cohen in LA Confidential. I forgot. I was trying to remember who he was.
Yeah.
I just watched The Negotiator yesterday again. He's in that as well.
Nice.
Yeah, solid character actor. He's great.
And then other people of note, Richard Edson. Wait, no, I skipped over Jeffrey Jones.
You totally did. I was like,
Yeah.
are you like working up to Jeffrey Jones?
No.
Yeah, Jeffrey registered sex offender Jones.
Oh, Jeffrey pedophile Jones, you mean?
Yeah, that's the one.
I was not aware of this. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to break your world, Travis.
Oh, this recently happened to me with the Jurassic Park actor this week.
Oh, no way. Which one? The lawyer?
The guy who plays Dodson.
Dodson.
Yeah. He because that character is going to be in the new Jurassic World movie.
Oh.
And I was telling a friend, I was like, I wish they got the original actor. And he's like, well, you know why they can't use him, right? And I'm like, oh no, why? And yeah.
That's why he was wearing that hat.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, the Jeffrey Jones thing, I don't know. I don't think there was ever a thing of like, victims, but definitely he was arrested and some CP was taken from his house.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think it was entirely possession of child pornography were the charges.
Yeah, I don't know if there were like real victims. That was never a thing. But that's why Jeffrey Jones hasn't been around in the last 13 years so much.
Oh no. Well, yeah, Jeffrey.
Yeah, the most recent thing, the biggest thing, has been the Deadwood movie.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Because the conviction happened. I think it was between Ravenous, but before Deadwood. Because it was like early 2000s when he was charged and convicted.
Yeah. So Jeffrey Jones, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Principal Rooney from Ferris Bueller's Day
It's like
Off.
a super bummer because he's all over the place and he's like really good when he's good. Like I thought.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal
really good.
actor.
I think he's really good in Howard the Duck. Like his I will talk about it, but his transformation scene I think is great.
Mm-hmm.
He goes for it.
But yeah, what other stuff? What else? We know him from Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Beetlejuice, Amadeus, Ed Wood.
Oh, he's so good in Ed Wood.
Yeah, I mean he's good in everything he does. Like he's a great actor, but yeah, also a pedo.
No bueno.
No bueno. Sleepy Hollows, Jeffrey Jones, everybody.
Wow. So then we got another Ferris Bueller guy. We got Richard Edson, who plays Richie, one of the sleazy guys at the club. He was the garage attendant, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was also in Catherine Bigelow's Strange Days. He was in Do the Right Thing. And most notably for me, because I recognized him right away. I'm like, who is this guy?
I think I know what you're about to say. Please confirm it for me.
He is Spike from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes, I couldn't place it when I was watching the movie this time, but I'm like, what do I know this guy from? Then as you were listing his other things, I'm like, that's the guy. Because he just looks like a person that belongs in Strange Days.
Yes.
If you were to
look, and then when he starts talking, the way he talks, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what I really knew.
He's a really interesting performer. I always really like when he comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have this down, but the lady who works at the Employment Bureau is also in Ferris Bueller, if I remember correctly.
Oh, is she?
Oh, I did not have her down.
Let's check this out.
I only know it because I watched the Honest trailer for Howard the Duck after we finished the movie, and one of the breakdowns in the starring is it's literally Jeffrey Jones, the dude you just mentioned, and her like screenshotted next to their Bueller counterparts below.
Interesting. Gotta find what she's credited as.
I will say that scene also very accurately reflects what it is like to deal with an employment bureau or a Department of Job and Family Services.
It does. Yeah. Virginia Capers.
Yep.
All right.
Also Beethoven's second.
Wow. All right. And then we've also got David Paymer just showing up as a scientist.
That
Always
was
welcome.
That was nuts to me. Like it, I saw him in my brain didn't go David Paymer. It went, oh, that's the dude from Payback, that Mel Gibson movie that almost nobody saw.
Oh, Payback.
And
Payback.
who I'm 90% sure he is in Night of the Creeps, but only for like 5 seconds.
That's also true, yeah.
Yeah. No, David Paymer. He was also in City Slickers. He was in Get Shorty. He was in Quiz Show as well.
Yes.
Also was the co-lead of Carpool with Tom Arnold.
Oh man, that would be an interesting, like, just do a run of all the Tom Arnold led family films from the 90s.
Oh boy.
I mean,
I think it's like 4 movies total, but
I think I would really only want to talk about The Stupids.
yeah.
Because The Stupids is actually really good. No, it's not, but it's funny.
I would be curious to revisit Big Bully just because I remember the movie having a very bizarre tonal shift in the final moments, and it just making me feel very uncomfortable. It's like, this isn't making me laugh at all. This is weird. I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, a murder almost happens.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen this movie, and it's directed by noted creator of Mediocrity, Steve Miner, and one of the last Rick Moranis things, it looks like.
Let's say, yeah, it's one of, if not the last one before he quit.
Yeah, that's an interesting combination of things.
Well, we might have talked Alex into it.
Yeah, you might have. Yeah, it was this, and then he did Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, and then Outskis, except for voice work.
Yeah.
Wow. But we'll see him back in the new Honey, I Shrunk the Kids television series. It's coming soon to Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. And other guys, we've got Richard McGonigal, who played first cop in this movie, and he's a character actor who's been in a whole ton of things. But what I found most interesting was he was the original voice of General Grievous in the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars.
Oh, interesting.
Before Matthew Wood took over in the movie.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, his Grievous was the scary one.
That was the scary one.
Yep.
I liked that Grievous.
And then, what else we got? And then, oh yeah, finally we've got Richard Kiley voicing the voice of the Cosmos. So
that's the narrator at the beginning, yes?
Yes.
No expense.
What do we know him from?
Oh, ton of stuff.
Aside from everything.
Yes, everything.
What are some specific everythings?
Well, specifically, Jurassic Park is what he's like most well known for.
Oh, is he the Dino DNA film narrator?
No, he's the
Voice you're now hearing is Richard Kiley. He spared no expense.
He is the voice of the tour that gives you all the information on the dinos.
Got it.
He was in The Little Prince. He was in the Thornbirds in the 80s. Patch Adams.
Cool.
A whole bunch of. He was just like in a bunch of TV series and TV movies. He was like a TV actor. Because if you look at his filmography, there's hardly any theatrical films.
Interesting.
I found that interesting as well. That he's. I don't know. I know his name, and I know from Jurassic Park being like, oh, this guy's a big deal. And I looked it up and I'm like, he's a TV actor? So
maybe he was like a big voiceover voice guy in the late 80s, early 90s, and his time just passed and we didn't know.
Yeah. The initial cut just has John Hammond going, we got the guy from Howard the Duck at the very beginning. Spared no expense. This is one of the things that rubbed me wrong about the movie early on, is that they utilized the voice of the Cosmos to like give us almost worthless information that doesn't really matter at all, and then they just abandon it for the entire rest of the movie. It's like you could have just not had that there, and it would have been the same thing.
Yeah, it's a thing that the movie does that's just like Don't worry about all those jokes that we just came up with and the fact that Duck World is exactly like Earth in every way, except there are ducks instead of humans, and all the titles of everything are duck puns. Don't let that bother you in a scientific way. Just imagine a universe of possibilities.
I honestly, I would have had less questions about this movie if Howard had just been living in Cleveland the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I would have accepted this humanoid duck lives in Cleveland and is just trying to get by, same as the rest of the humans. Because ultimately, Duck World ends up not mattering beyond it being like kind of slight motivation to bring in a villain that I don't think really works. And
True.
Yeah, again, this movie should have just been him managing the band and them on tour and maybe dealing with, like, I don't know, crappy bands and scuzzy promoters.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Because, yeah, we'll get into it, I guess, once we actually like discuss the movie.
Yeah, in an hour into the podcast. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Now we can move on into the Trek connections.
Yeah.
So we've got Paul Guilfoyle. He recently, just very recently, a few months ago, he played this guy named Carl in Terra Firma Part 1 and 2 in Star Trek Discovery, which he's a guy who's sitting beside a big portal that is from... are you familiar with the City on the Edge of Forever, Alex?
Yeah.
Yes. They stumble upon that in this episode of Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's the guy... Yeah.
That's the Harlan Ellison episode that he hates, right?
Yes.
That is one of the few that I do know.
Harlan Ellison just hates everything. You don't have to stipulate that Harlan Ellison hates just...
Well, not anymore, he doesn't.
Not anymore?
Is he dead?
Oh,
No,
dead,
he's
right.
dead.
Right.
Yeah.
He can't hate anything anymore.
Only thing he hates is being worm food.
And then we've got on the right, Richard Kiley. He was in Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Nice.
And a guy named Gideon Sitek.
Nice.
He is a very handsome looking old dude.
He is.
Yeah. And then I've made a huge blunder here. I sent you something, and I realized not too long ago that I overlooked somebody's filmography, and Richard McGonigal, who was the voice of General Grievous, he was in an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh, no.
New Ground. Yeah. Playing a character called Jadar.
Sorry,
and while we
McGonigal.
don't see him, I just wanted to like call him out.
Trek connections, honesty,
And then
transparency.
we can move on to John Fleck, who he was one of the punks that was in the alley that Howard takes care of early on.
Oh,
in
one of the
movie with
attempted
his black
rapists.
suit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the one that does too much toot, but his partner.
Yeah. So he is an actor who has appeared in several episodes of The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise.
Yeah, you got him in 8 different pictures here.
Yeah. Looking very normal in that last one.
Yeah. Looking kind of like Richard E. Grant in that last one.
He does.
But, yeah. Good rundown. All right.
Those are all the Trek connections.
So now an hour into the podcast, there's a lot to talk about with Howard the Duck. We can, I guess, try to breeze through it, but I do have like 4 pages of notes that I took when I was watching the movie. Well, okay, so like sequences. Opening sequence, we have Duck World. We have all these puns. We have we see a play duck. There's boobs in that. There's a centerfold, and then we see the duck in the bath as Howard's being sucked to Earth. Yeah, this scene is... I would have loved to see more of Duck World, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing too, is this movie has the Masters of the Universe problem, where it's like, hey, we're gonna show you 5 to 10 minutes of this really cool alternate like plane of existence, and then we're never gonna see it again, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, a planet where the ducks are the people. That's kind of cool. No, we're gonna throw his ass in Cleveland.
Yeah, because of course it's Cleveland.
Yeah.
I just think that. I mean, that's from the comic book, I think, right? Like Cleveland that's a joke.
Yeah.
Because Cleveland, which is a joke.
Yep.
We talked about how great the suit is. Howard's like in this alley on Earth by where Cherry Bomb is playing at the biker bar that they play at.
Mm-hmm.
Howard like accidentally gropes a girl's butt, but then is just like, oh, this is a nice place for my hand to be, just as he's like wandering around the alley. I did notice that the female motorcycle gang that went through was Satan's Sluts.
Yeah, it was.
That was great. They didn't have biker hair. Those were just like more punk haircuts on the biker gang, but you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like this. Sorry,
the bouncer. I was gonna say the bouncer at the bar kicks him out because he's like, we told you no kids here. And, mistaking Howard for a small child, he decides to throw him out.
Yes.
Yeah. A small child with a bird body.
So like this I mean like this is really creepy, right? Like there's these two dudes who ostensibly just were watching this performance, and the whole time they're just like, oh, we're gonna have our way with that one after the show. And then they proceed to attempt to do that, and that's what we see in the movie, is this attempted rape of Beverly, like immediately following this performance. But the rapists are dressed like they're in a Cure cover band. So
yeah. They're
like,
the least intimidating of the punks that we've seen so far.
Yeah, like they're holding her down, and he's got like nail polish and lacy gloves on, and it's just like, okay, man, like, are you in a new romantic band, or are you trying to do this? The hair and wardrobe department were very single-minded on this movie, was my note.
Yeah. You'd mentioned this earlier about how much detail went into it. And the first time that he like lands in the alley with the punks, I got big Return of the Living Dead costume vibes.
Yeah, for sure.
I was
Another
like,
great representation of all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was like, I wouldn't have been mad if Howard the Duck had landed in Return of the Living Dead too. That would have been a little more interesting too.
That would have been good too. Yeah.
Yeah. And we might have gotten to see Miguel A. Nunez Jr. again. So.
And then like Howard like saves her with karate because he knows quack fu. This comes up a few times in the movie. They have this like nice little scene where she softens up to him very fast.
Very fast.
She buys his whole story and is just like, yeah, come home with me and hang out. Be dry and safe.
Yeah. Like, the alien in Species can pull it off because she looks like a hot human babe. Howard the Duck, not so much. Just a tall, annoying bird.
Well, lucky for Howard, he landed in the lap of the one girl in Cleveland that thinks he's sexy for some reason.
Yeah, like, she even has that line later on where she was like, if I could only find a man. It's like, she officially has the bar set lower than PJ Souls in Rock and Roll High School, because PJ Souls has to be the only woman in the world, or Riff Randall more specifically, who thinks that Joey Ramone is the sexiest man on the planet. Do they make great music? Absolutely. But, oh boy, poor Joey Ramone. No, not a sex symbol.
Yeah, I actually only recently saw a picture of him without his glasses on for the first time ever, and I was surprised.
Yeah, I don't even think he's the sexiest Ramone.
He's not. That's probably Dee Dee.
Yeah, it's a fairly low bar to step, but I think Dee Dee takes that one. If for no other reason than he looks kind of normal sometimes.
Right. Yeah. What else? Yeah. They go to Bev's apartment, and just stop me if you guys have more thoughts, and I'm just like skipping over parts of the movie that you want to talk about. They go to her apartment, and Howard immediately starts off by criticizing her fucking huge living space, which is like the size of a palace, but is just grungy.
Every time. This is always in movies and stuff where somebody is like poor and living in the city, and they showed like apartments like this, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like a huge loft that you could do anything you wanted with. And it's just like, oh yeah, what a dump. And it's like, what are you talking about? You have an amazing open floor plan and you have all this stuff. You're fine.
Yeah, there's no way that same apartment now isn't at least $3,000 a month in Cleveland.
In Cleveland. Yeah, they both just continue opening up to each other. He asks for beer, and he gets a bottle of beer and says, "Oh, big brewski," because I guess beer is scaled down on Duck World.
It would have to be. It's at least twice the size, probably.
Yeah.
So like a human on Duck World would have to like be ducking and squatting all the time, right? Because like everything.
Yeah,
is
the
just short.
dimensions
just doesn't do.
That's why they call it Duck World, because you have to duck all the time.
Perfect. And the scene where Bev looks through his wallet and finds the tiny unwrapped condom that looks pretty dirty. There's also, he lives in Marshington, D.C.
Yup.
He has a Mallard card and shops at Blooming Ducks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I would feel uncomfortable if on planet Earth these things were called Human Card and Humington, D.C. and Blooming Humans.
Like, also, what a gross invasion of privacy.
Well,
like,
I mean, okay, yeah, continue, but I might retort, I think.
The only time you go through somebody's wallet is if you were stealing it from them, or if you are a homicide detective and you found a dead body and you need to ID the victim as quickly as possible. That is about the only two instances that I can think of to go through somebody's wallet that isn't yours.
I think that the circumstances in this situation are extenuating enough to warrant a peek through a wallet. You are a human woman.
I was going to say, he's not a human. He has no human rights.
And if you see he has a wallet, you're going to be like, I'm very confused by the mere existence of this wallet.
I get that, but how hard would it be to say, hey, Howard, we have wallets too. Can I look through your non-human wallet, please? Since we seem to be hitting it off so well.
I could just imagine that dialogue in the movie.
I'm just saying, do you know how many times someone's asked to look at a picture of my driver's license? I've been like, yeah, sure, here you go. To a person I don't even know. It's just nice to be shown the consideration.
That's true.
I get what you're saying, but they're bonding. Like it's not like she found him unconscious in an alley and was like, what is this duck-shaped child doing here? I better see what's in their wallet.
I just found my mind wandering and wondering if the wallet was made out of leather, and if so, what was the leather tanned from, and if ducks had domesticated cows for livestock similarly in Duck World. I have a lot of Duck World related questions.
Yeah, I was going to say, it opens a whole lot of questions. It's like same thing with like every Pixar movie when you start about the toys.
We should really have tried to get Steve Gerber, creator of Howard the Duck, on this show to really straighten some things out for us.
While we're on this note, I want to mention it now before I forget, because later we see Howard served a plate of fried eggs. So, presumably in Duck World, ducks lay eggs. That's how they birth their children. He makes a big deal about how inappropriate it is and how it would be cannibalism for him to eat fried eggs. How does he know what fried eggs look like?
I thought the same thing. I'm like, they would not know unless
they'd eaten fried eggs in Duck World.
Exactly. If you put human meat in front of me cooked, I wouldn't know the difference. I'd be like, what's this? It's weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't go, oh, is this my brother? I would just say, this is an animal that you killed so that we can eat. Good job.
Thank you.
No part of my brain would think that I was committing cannibalism.
Oh, God. Okay, so the next day they go to visit, because of course rock musician Beverly knows a scientist. She's like, I know the perfect person in Cleveland to take you to answer the mystery of your presence on this planet. Cue Tim Robbins playing Phil, in which he goes totally spaz ham, and Howard storms out, and then Phil explains the duck evolutionary ladder to us.
Yeah. Well, he also goes immediately to all of his colleagues and, just thinks better of it. He's like, no, I'm going to keep this to myself.
Yeah. Makes a huge
That
spectacle.
was a funny scene, yeah.
Freaks out, then goes, it's nothing, then laughs like a lunatic, and then just heel turns and walks right back out. Like, as an actor, he hits 5 different beats for his character motivation in 3 seconds.
He does. It's great. It's really good. He's like the movie actually does a really good continued job of this. Like, everyone except Leah Thompson reacting correctly to Howard's existence. Yeah.
Yes.
Where, like, people throughout the rest of the movie are, like, shocked and horrified and in total disbelief and in fear. And Leah Thompson is the only one that's just like, this is normal enough. Can deal with this.
No, it's just a humanoid duck. Like you see every day.
But I do really like that the movie does us the courtesy of having people react as if they were people and not as if this was just, like, a weird thing that they were seeing on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, maybe she just spent the whole movie in shock immediately after seeing the duck condom.
She's like, oh, okay, my brain is off. Autopilot engaged.
Yep, her logic center just shut down.
I like, for some reason, the duck evolutionary ladder scene is, like, indelible in my brain. That's like one of the key scenes I remember about this movie for whatever reason.
Me remembering that scene, I thought it was an actual thing he had put together, and then watching it this time, I'm like, no, it's something he has them visualize.
Yeah. Every school duck knows this. So the next thing that happens here is Howard goes to the unemployment office to get a job to continue existing on this planet. And Howard's outfit is incredible in this scene. He's wearing, like, a hoodie and shorts. He said he was shoplifting at the kids section of Goodwill, I think. And he's got the sunglasses on inside, and she takes them, the unemployment lady takes them off of his face. And I was just wondering, is he trying to use those as a disguise, or is it part of the look?
I do not know.
Because it wouldn't be an effective disguise. It does not hide your beak or feathers, sir.
No, and she's completely unfazed by it.
Yeah, she's just like, this punk kid just won't get a job. And of course, Howard tries to take a bite out of her ass. Like,
I'm like,
literally.
He gets so angry at her. That's what he wants to do, and I'm like, what? This is.
But that seemed to be a little bit horny too.
Yeah, we thought millennials invented eating ass, but it was Howard the Duck.
It was definitely Howard the Duck. He was going to try to eat that lady's ass in the unemployment office. So then she gets Howard a job at a hot tub spa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And my only note here is, what the fuck is this scene doing in the movie?
Yeah.
Like, this is just a brothel. And he's, like, cleaning up, like, probably, like, sex fluids off of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just watching this the whole time, and I was like, this is not what I thought bathhouses were supposed to be based on what I saw in Eastern Promises. This is a very different version of that.
Yeah, this is the Howard. That's what Cleveland's bathhouses are like.
Also, I refuse to believe that at any point Cleveland had bathhouses.
Okay, hang on. Private window. Cleveland bathhouses. Yeah, Cleveland bathhouses and sex clubs 2021. GayCitiesCleveland.com. Or cleveland.gaycities.com. Yeah, Flex Spas Cleveland. Mm-hmm.
All right, well, fair enough.
There we go.
Do they have any duck employees?
Yeah, can you refine the search?
Okay. Cleveland
and also-
Bathhouse Duck Butler.
And see how many were owned by ethnic stereotypes, like broad ethnic caricatures.
I just checked that button on the filters in the search, and it didn't change the result.
That tracks.
They're all owned by ethnic stereotypes.
Little scrub in the bathhouse, bring me my thingamagool.
Oh, God. And because he has too much dignity, Howard quits this degrading job.
Yeah, after he shoves the caricature owner into a mud bath.
Yeah. That the caricature owner was like pulling a bra out of.
Also, everyone in this bathhouse who is putting moves on each other has never had sex.
That is very true. Based on
Like-
how those people are interacting with each other, absolutely that is true.
Like, they're literally, it's just like they put ants in their pants and then just stood up against each other and then went from there. That's what it looks like.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I really want a behind the scenes photo from like this set with George Lucas on it.
Yeah. You know it exists. You know
He's
he
just
visited.
stroking his beard in the corner.
This was a very full bearded time for Lucas. Yeah, and then after he quits, Howard gets himself like a nice suit to walk around the city and look sad in. I found myself wondering where he got the damn suit.
That suit straight up looks like he stole Tiny Tim's outfit.
It does.
It's somewhere
It's like a
between
street
that.
urchin outfit.
It's somewhere between that and Tom Baker's Doctor Who.
So Howard goes to see Cherry Bomb play, and there are generic 80s punks abound everywhere. Generic 80s punks. These are was that season 2 or season 3 of Stranger Things that had the generic 80s punks in like the one episode backdoor pilot that everyone hated?
Season 2.
Okay. Yeah. That is what this movie is, where they based their design on the 80s punks from, was this scene in Howard the Duck. This was their only reference for how those characters should look. Yeah, and Howard is trying to wrestle the girls out of their shitty management contract. He like literally fights Richie, the manager, and it's this insane fight scene with Quack Fu. Howard says he has space rabies.
Yup.
Cherry Bomb's outfits are incredible. Everyone in the bar looks amazing in this scene.
The best part of this scene is during the fight, for no reason, one of the punks just smashes a beer bottle and hands it to Howard, and then he does nothing with it. Like, he doesn't even brandish it. He just holds it for a second, and then he just ends up putting it down because the fight's already over.
Yeah. And there's this great scene that follows in like the dressing room backstage. Like I said, their outfits are incredible. Howard comes in and inappropriately touches the legs. He inappropriately touches two of the members of the band, like on his way to going and caressing Beverly's leg. And when he enters the room in this scene, apparently Tim Robbins is dating one of the other girls in the band. In this movie, it only comes up in this one scene, but it does give him the great line of dialogue when she's trying to be all kissy with him. He gets to go, "No sex now, I'm working."
See, I didn't like realize or put together that they were dating. I'm like, this is just like more inappropriate, weird stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was just him being delusional for a minute, because also when he enters, he has the line, "Hey, I know I missed the show, but at least I can watch you undress," or something in that vein.
Yeah, it's because he's dating one of them. But that doesn't make that line less creepy. That is a very weird thing to say to a room full of women.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you.
But he brought pizza, so.
And they have pizza, and Howard doesn't know what pizza is.
Yeah, he doesn't know it.
Duck World has everything that Earth does except pizza, so maybe they didn't domesticate cows, because then maybe they don't have cheese.
Maybe.
Is it duck leather? No, that would be... do they tan their ancestors and make them into wallets as some remembrance? Who knows? I'm skipping over anything, please stop me. We are.
Oh no, you're hitting all the important story beats, I think.
We're back at Beverly's apartment. Howard jams on the keys while Beverly trots around in incredibly skimpy underwear. Just peak sexy Leah Thompson just hanging around while Howard the Duck is jamming with a drum machine and a synthesizer.
Yeah, it's like she changed out of her sexy stage clothes to go be in that Whitesnake video immediately after.
Yes.
That's what that outfit is.
Yeah. And this is the scene that everyone talks about where Howard and Beverly overtly, not even in a veiled, innuendo-y kind of way, just overtly talk about having sex and very nearly do. And Leah Thompson really commits to this. Howard gets a head boner at one point.
Yep.
In the scene. How did this make you guys feel as adults in your 30s?
What an exchange. I kept going back and forth because part of it was all right, we're just going full in on this bestiality thing. But then it was weird that Howard suddenly wasn't into it, or
Howard
he was bashful.
retracted very quickly. Yeah.
Very scared.
And it was real bizarre. I was like, she already let you sleep in her, she's letting you sleep in her bed. What did you think was going to happen? That's the other thing too. I think we only feel weird about it because they kind of don't fully commit to it. Leah Thompson is the only person in this that's full on this is okay, but she's also still making jokes about it too.
Right.
Wouldn't it be weird if I had sex with a humanoid duck?
Wouldn't that be just totally crazy?
Yeah, what if your duck mouth kissed my human mouth? Where she's clearly trying to set him up, but he doesn't seem to know how to process it.
Right. Yeah, Travis, what about you? How is this watching with your wife while your children are upstairs sleeping?
I mean, I wanted to go wake him up and bring him down there.
Need the birds and the bees? Howard the Duck's got you covered, kids.
Yeah,
there is a bird.
Howard P. Duck.
They do something really, classy, where they cut to just the silhouette of them kissing. After that whole scene, and then they end with just the shadows. And Sarah has a question. She wants to know, what is more upsetting, the blank check kiss, a gnome named Norm kiss, or this kiss?
Oh, I feel like this kiss, because the other two kisses were definitely not going to lead to sex. But this may have led to sex if scientists did not walk into the room.
Yeah. I don't know about a gnome named Norm, but I know exactly what you're talking about with blank check. And I don't care how cute it was played, that's still statutory.
Oh, no, we talk about that for 20 minutes in the podcast.
Yeah. I think that's what people are upset about when on all of our blank check reviews.
How could you not? It's you've got an option to kiss Miguel Ferrer's villain or a kid, and you go with the kid. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The only reason this didn't go further is because Jennings and the rest of them come in and they quack block them.
You were just waiting to use that, weren't you?
No, literally, that was off the top of my head. I'm pretty proud of that one.
Quack block is pretty good. Congratulations.
I got some moments. I will say, if we're already leaning into all the creepy sex stuff, missed opportunity to not see a silhouette of a corkscrew penis unwinding.
I think that's the Matt Stone and Trey Parker version of this movie.
Yeah, we already got the head feather boner. Come on, just double down.
Yeah.
You couldn't have watched that, said this stays in the movie, and then thought, yeah, we're gonna get rich off this.
Jeffrey Jones has a great line in this scene, which is, "Listen to me, small visitor." But he basically explains how Howard arrived on Earth because they're experimenting with a super laser. There's some really big science happening in Cleveland, which I find very surprising. but maybe. And so like Howard thinks he's gonna go back home, and he continues to be
super laser that just like pulls things from space.
Yeah, that's what it does. It just, what is the point? What was their goal? To meet,
see what they could get.
Yeah, to see what they could do. To see what happens when you point the giant laser into space.
Yeah, aim it at the solar system. See what happens.
Sometimes you bring down galactic evil overlords.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also like the backstory that this movie is what leads to the Michael Bay movie Armageddon.
Yes. Theory of total media interconnectivity says this directly leads into Armageddon. Yeah. So they make their way to Dynatechnics, the science lab where this is happening, with the very late 80s science building name of Dynatechnics.
Yeah, which are definitely two parts of words that you can slap together.
And we're greeted with like a pretty awesome matte painting of the science building. Mm-hmm. We get some great lines of dialogue of just as soon as they come in, because there's a big explosion that's just happened. Because Jennings got there first, I guess. And there's a scientist who comes
in. Speed there.
Right. He just like went ahead. He's like, I'll set it all up. You guys just follow behind. And the scientist who's like burned on half of his face, like really like, he's looking pretty gnarly. And he like ekes out, "We have no right to tamper with the universe."
That's a great line.
And then that's followed by, is it Howard or Tim Robbins that goes, "This does not bode well"? I think it's Howard.
Yeah.
It's just like, "This does not bode well." That's a great little, I love that. Everything is exploded. We don't know where Jennings is. The lab is in disarray. There's police here now. They are detaining the duck. They are stripping the duck. They are in disbelief at the duck's existence, but don't care. They're going to prosecute it anyway. We do see like a Howard fully nude except for underpants here.
Mm-hmm. Which this is like one thing that they did not have a person in the suit for.
Yeah.
They created obviously like some kind of a rig with the puppet.
And I think he was standing in front of a box or a filing cabinet or something that there must have been poles hidden in, keeping him up and animating him and stuff.
So yeah, then after that, when you see him with clothes on, you're like, wow, those clothes really add on
a lot of bulk.
Yeah.
He's very thin without his clothes. And at about this point in the movie, Beverly goes in to rescue Howard and really steals a police officer's gun.
Yeah, she knows exactly what to do with it too. Has no qualms about it.
Yeah, this is a girl from the mean streets of Cleveland, knows how to take it. And this was the thing I forgot to mention in the scene during her attempted rape earlier. If Howard wasn't there, she could have taken care of herself. She would have actually, I think, beat the crap out of those guys. She wasn't doing too bad. Yeah. She has a cop's gun, and now the cops have been ordered to shoot to kill. Now that's the stakes of this movie. The cops have been ordered to shoot Howard the Duck dead because he is armed and dangerous, theoretically.
Yeah, this escalated very quickly.
And I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like police.
Yeah. Also, yes.
And then Dr. Jennings comes back. He's just barely himself still. But they escape in a car. And Angela made the comment that it's a duck hunt now. At this point in the movie.
Duck season. Rabbit season.
And Jennings is doing a great job of narrating exactly what's happening to him with the Dark Overlord taking over him. He's doing a great job of externalizing everything that he's thinking and feeling for the sake of an audience.
So this is why I hate this turn that the story takes here. Because we see the possession happens off screen. We don't really see it fleshed out in any meaningful way. Like, this would be equivalent to, say, in the first Men in Black, if we didn't get that scene of Vincent D'Onofrio getting killed and taken over by the bug. It's like we see him, and then the next time his face is on sloppy.
Sure, yeah. No, that's an interesting point, yeah.
Well, and it also comes out of nowhere. Like, Men in Black sets the tone. It was like, hey, aliens exist. Some of them are bad. This is just like, oh, there's a planet where ducks are the people. Also, there's these weird scorpion crab monster things that we won't find out are crab scorpion monster things until about another 50 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it.
It's also weird. Like, they had the license and the right to use Howard the Duck. Did they not have, any license to use other potential Marvel villains here?
I think what I read is that the wait, let me bring up the Wikipedia article again. But I think they were actually kind of loosely based on a comic book thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, yeah, I'm not even mad that it was something as generic as, like, the Dark Overlords of the universe. I think it's just sloppy that, like, we don't even know they exist until halfway through the movie. Because up until this point, the only real threat is that Howard might not get home.
Right.
And I honestly...
the movie had no villain.
Yeah, and I think it would have been fine. Like, I think they could have kept going without one.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Now, again, granted, like, the creature design that we do inevitably get, and the makeup and prosthetic work on Jeffrey Jones as he gradually devolves,
which is excellent, is
really good.
It's gonna look great on the new 4K, I bet.
Yeah, but beyond that, like, it comes completely out of left field, and it seems like somebody started making one movie, and then somebody came in and was like, now we're gonna make a different one.
Right. This is where it becomes an effects movie, and this is where it becomes what Universal asked for, really.
Yeah. And again, I wouldn't be mad about that, but, like, then set that up from the jump. Like,
yeah, no, it does come out of way nowhere.
Like, what, the voice of the cosmos couldn't say, also crab scorpion monsters exist and they're evil.
Right. Yeah. Could have used some warning.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, as this car chase is happening and Jennings driving, and he just at one point goes, "I'm dead," and then, "Yes, you are," as the Dark Overlord has taken over his body now, and it's like this great. It's a great little weird moment. The performance here is so fun.
Oh yeah, him goleming is pretty great.
And then they almost crash into a restaurant, which happens to be Cajun Sushi.
Yup.
Which I'd never noticed this was Cajun Sushi until Angela pointed it out as we were watching this. And I could not get over the concept and execution of Cajun Sushi.
A diner.
Yeah, that was a diner. Like,
it's like 3 different things.
So good. Okay, so yeah, you found a thing.
Yeah, I found thing on the Dark Overlords, but if you look, the first appearance is Marvel Super Special, November 1986, which would have been after
follows.
this movie.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I suppose you were right. I did also just learn that if you search the Dark Overlord on Wikipedia, just that term, the Dark Overlord, it will redirect to the article about Howard the Duck, the film. Oh. So yeah, you talked. Yeah, the waitress in this scene is great. Howard and Beverly are already totally sick of the aliens' shit in this scene, which is great. They're just kind of like, stop acting this way, man. Like, the waitress at one point is just like so fed up. She goes, "Hostility is like a psychic boomerang." It's like, yeah.
That line guy was like, okay, all right. You clearly got more of a grip on things than I thought you did.
Howard causes one heck of a ruckus in Cajun Sushi here.
Oh.
I do believe he shouts at one point, "This one's for you, Cracker."
Yes.
He does say that.
Which, I mean, I'm all for calling white people crackers, honkies, fish bellies, what have you. It's pretty great.
I just like that he got onto the slang so fast, arriving on planet Earth.
Yeah.
There is a kid in here wearing an Empire Strikes Back t-shirt. I don't know if either of you guys noticed that.
Yes.
I missed that.
There are two Lucasfilm t-shirts in here.
Oh, were there?
Yeah. One of the sushi chefs that's going to carve up, it's the main one that's going to carve up Howard on the table. He's wearing an Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom t-shirt.
Oh, and that's a Hoik reference too, because Hoik and Katz co-wrote that.
Ah, nice.
So that's pretty good. I didn't notice that one. Nice. And then there's this whole thing with like the truckers in the diner versus the Dark Overlord, and I love this sequence so much. I love the animation. I love the effects. I love there's this one shot where he's got like fireballs in his eyes, and it's just like it's a really clean composite that looks really cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the destruction of the diner is just like awesome. I love this part of the scene.
Yeah. The action in the scene is really good. It just, God, it takes so long to get to it.
Oh, it totally does. Yeah.
The whole latter half of this movie is filled with sequences that just overstay their welcome.
Yes.
Yep.
There's this, and then there's the paraglider, the plane sequence,
Goes
which
on
like
so long.
Going on. Yeah.
Yeah, like when there's like more stuff that I have written down here, but I have it. Okay, everyone is finally at the lab. Is my heading for when everybody finally gets to the lab. It takes them forever to all get there.
Yeah, like I feel like this chunk from introduction of the Dark Lord to the final battle is at least 40-45 minutes. Like it's such a long stretch, or it at least feels that way.
I think it's more like half an hour, but it is like a really long time.
It feels long.
Yeah, it does.
Like I just remember thinking, I was like, okay, this movie's an hour and 51 minutes. This has been too much of it.
Yeah. And yeah, like we've talked about, Howard and Phil steal a flying machine to escape this scenario, while the Dark Overlord has escaped in a truck with Beverly. And Howard protests, saying if God wanted us to fly, he wouldn't have taken away our wings. Which is, I really like that line too. But
which in Duck World, what's the evolutionary advantage of
none
flying?
Duck World doesn't make sense, man.
He can't fly, he can't swim.
He's useless as a duck.
Yeah,
as a creature that does things, he's useful. He's helpful. But as a duck, functioning as a duck, bad.
Yeah.
Right, he can't swim. Forgot to mention that in the spa.
Yeah, he almost drowns in a sex tub.
Oh God, it is a sex tub. The Dark Overlord sticks his tongue into a cigarette lighter outlet in the truck.
A tentacle tongue.
To charge up. It's a what tongue?
A tentacle tongue.
A tentacle tongue, yeah. And it looks great. It's a great effect. It really lingers on this like fake prosthetic of Jeffrey Jones with a thing coming out of its mouth. Like the movie really isn't afraid to show this really kind of gross looking obvious puppet for a good amount of time.
It felt like, this is a cut scene from The Thing, kind of.
It kind of did feel that way.
Yeah, I got real Slither vibes from it.
Yeah. And like I said, there was some Tim Robbins up there, but being able to like have some representation of Howard on the aircraft all the time, like really helps sell the illusion between stunt performers and the real performers. Just like being able to put the suit up there. Yeah, you and Dustin already mentioned like how great the makeup evolution of the Dark Overlord is as it progresses.
Just like the performer, I'm just like thinking of Ed Gale in the suit that just being normal walking around is probably very difficult for him to know where he's at.
Yeah,
it probably feels dangerous on the ground.
Yeah, and he's up there in the thing.
We're gonna put you in this thing and let the actor fly you. Here, Tim Robbins.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
He's got to be like, what?
They just said to him what Phil says to him in the movie, which is trust your birdness. Trust your birdness. They go to a nuclear power plant. Why do they go to a nuclear power plant? Is it for him to charge up?
Yeah, he has to get power. He's weak. He needs energy.
Yeah, we could have. We could have written
Wholly
around
unnecessary.
that. We could have written around that. I thought they were at the place, and then I'm like, wait, no, you're at a different science place. Now you got to go to the original science
they went
place.
to a real power plant that's in Ohio near Cleveland.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did they shoot this movie?
They shot it in the Marin County area in San Francisco and stuff, but they used establishing shots and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was about to say, at least the flight scene, that was not shot in northern Ohio, because there are no hills like that.
Yeah, that was San Francisco.
Like my fiance even looked, she was like, where are these beautiful hills of Cleveland?
Yeah, it was the no. Let's see. Well, because I took note, they when they were entering there was a sign of the power plant, and I looked it up. I'm like, yeah, sure enough, there it is. Yeah, it's at the Cuyahoga River power plant.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't think that was a real sign. I did note Cuyahoga, but I didn't think that was real. I thought that was just like, knowing the area's geography and making reference to it. Nice. Yeah, I do have the note here. Wow, this whole chase/flying sequence is really going on a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The crash scene and the landing sequence are fun. What else I have? The classic 80s chase scene. Cop crashes through a vendor at the pier while Howard terrorizes duck hunters from the air. That happens. Then they crash by going through a train car and bashing the wings off of it. And it's very whatever. It's very silly. The ending, like it's a nice crescendo, but it goes on for so damn long. And now we're finally in the lab. Everyone's in the lab now. Dark Overlord's there with Beverly. Howard and Phil are there, and Phil brings Howard to a neutron disintegrator, which sounds very low-key and chill. It sounds like it's a really nice instrument.
Yeah.
Just a regular piece of science equipment. And so Jennings is trying to bring down, or the Dark Overlord is trying to bring down other Dark Overlords. And he's trying to use Beverly's body to host one of them in, I think,
yes.
Right? Because they need human hosts, but also they seem to do fine on their own? I don't know. Yeah. I'm actually pretty confused by why the Dark Overlords need human hosts. But Dark Overlord Jennings punches like the coordinates into the computer where he wants to point the space laser, and the computer just goes, Nexus of Summonus.
Yes, it knows.
It knows like the dark corner of the universe where the Dark Overlords live. That's like known space. We've mapped that. Okay. The lighting in the laser lab I just think was beautiful. With pinks and yellows and greens and like so very 80s colors. The whole showdown is super fun. The effects with like the cell animation on top, some composite elements continue to just be like so awesome looking. Phil is wearing a t-shirt with a pink-haired troll doll on it. Dude, Hades, come on, man. Talk about Howard the Duck. Okay. Yeah, what else? So there's this like showdown, right? Like they mount the gun to this
cart that Austin Powers drives.
Yeah, that. The Austin Powers underground compound cart. And basically plays chicken with the Dark Overlord possessing Jennings' body and wins.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow like Neutron disintegrates the Dark Lord out of Jennings, and then Jennings is okay.
Yeah, that's what happens.
And that, I mean, good for him. But then the Dark Overlord is just somewhere else, and then that's when we get the reveal of the monster. And one of the things I loved, like one of my favorite looking of this like animation effects in the movie, I'm gonna put up this screenshot now, is just like this suspended animation field that the Dark Overlord puts Beverly and Phil in. They're like glowing from the center with like these sparks kind of flying all around them and enveloping them, and it's just this like very cool looking thing that I really liked looking at, so I wanted to show it on the podcast. Yeah, and then how do they use the neutron disintegrator on the thing again to kill it?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And
he does that, and then they destroy the laser.
then they have to destroy the laser, and Howard makes a noble sacrifice. But when the Dark Overlord, on the one that's here, explodes, it explodes into like stars. It looks awesome. This is like a really cool sequence. Like you could just like take this 4 minutes out of the movie and just like watch it. It's a really cool effect sequence. Yeah, and so Howard makes a noble sacrifice, and they save the day, and there's no Dark Overlords on Earth, and Jennings is okay, even though we don't see him the rest of the movie. And we have this nice little epilogue. Cherry Bomb is playing at a much bigger club now that Howard is managing them, and it seems like maybe Tim Robbins is stage managing them. I took a screenshot of the 4 girls on stage because I couldn't really find good close-up shots of some of these instruments, but she's playing her I think maybe it's a Gibson that Leah Thompson is playing. She still has that guitar, I learned.
Nice.
Then this is the most perfect 80s band, just photogenically, because we have a keytar player on the right. She's doing a great job playing keytar. We have the Roland synth drums in the back, very much a staple. And we have a Roland G77 bass, which is a Roland bass or synthesizer bass or bass synthesizer. It has synthesizer pickups in it. This was like pre-MIDI. It has pickups in it that go to an off-board synthesizer module. But it has that weird cool look with like a top handle. There is a guitar version too, the 707. Really weird instruments, and they look like, sci-fi props. Really happy to see them in this movie. Phil's red leopard print shirt in this scene is fantastic. And we get to hear Howard's theme song, which is so good. This song is rad. Howard's guitar solo is terrible, but the song is rad.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, when Howard comes out, this scene has big "It's Your Cousin Marvin Berry" vibes.
It does. It does. And down to the very end of the movie, Howard and Bev still just want a bone.
Yeah, it's weird. You think they're gonna go out on this high note, playing the song and everything, but the song ends, and then they go back into like the swelling score where they have this moment, and then it fades to black.
Yeah.
Like, this is weird. Why did they do this?
Yep. And then the theme song plays again as the credits roll and more music plays, and that's Howard the Duck, y'all. I had seen this as recently as last July, so it was a while before that. But that's why I was hesitant to do it in our initial round, Trav, because I had just watched it when it came up, and I was just like, I don't really want to watch Howard the Duck right now. But yeah, I'm glad we did. This was a fun rabbit hole to go down. Duck hole?
Yeah. Maybe could have waited for the 4K release, but
no, we're trying to build the hype.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to start the hype train on the 4K Howard the Duck Blu-ray. Physical media forever.
Yeah, you were gone. I was explaining to Dustin that I was looking for my DVD of this because I used to own it, and there was a featurette that I wanted to watch on the making of before we did this, but I couldn't find it. Probably like 90% of my physical media was sold to half-price books before our move, and I think that ended going up there.
Yeah.
And, Dustin revealed that he recently purchased a DVD from Half Price Books, but probably
Just
not the same
yesterday.
one. Yeah,
That'd make me so happy if it was the same disc.
me too.
I'm honestly surprised that I had never owned it previously, because I definitely, especially in college, went through a phase where if anything was even remotely comic book related, I would buy it, even the director's cut of Daredevil.
Yeah. I remember, and you know what? You know what I'll say? On the record, on the podcast record, the director's cut of Daredevil is not bad.
No, it's all right.
It's not that good, but it's not bad.
It's not bad. And it has 100% more Coolio.
It does. And yeah, I think Dustin, I think Travis, you weren't there. I think I didn't know you at school yet. And Dustin, maybe, I think you lived in a different dorm. I don't know. There was a time when I think it was me and Steve Hildreth and Beth all watched Howard the Duck in my dorm room. And it was a very problematic viewing. They had never seen it before. And so like it literally like every 5 minutes, and they were less experienced in the ways of movies that you just need to shut up and let the movie tell you what makes sense and what doesn't. Because they kept asking, like, what is happening? What is this? And it got to the point where, like, we just wrote on a piece of paper, we're watching Howard the Duck, and taped it above the TV. So you could just point to the sign whenever it was, but why? It's just like, sign.
Where was that sign when I watched Southland Tales?
Oh, man. I love Southland Tales, too.
We can't cover that on this podcast.
No, but I do encourage everyone to go out and get the new Arrow Special Edition Southland
Right
Tales
there.
Blu-ray, which has the can cut of the movie on it, the longer cut that makes less sense but features more Janine Garofalo and Kevin Smith, is now available to the public.
What is the amount of John Lovitz relative to the non-can cut?
There is a little bit more John Lovitz in the can cut, I think, but not much.
You sold me.
But he's just as scary.
You had me at a little more John Lovitz.
Around that there is a much longer scene. The scene with The Rock and Seann William Scott in the patrol car is much longer and much filthier.
Oh my.
The Rock like graphically talks about sex with Sarah Michelle Gellar's porn star character. And it's like really great. Southland Tales is a real doozy of a movie, man. It's a real doozy. It's a train wreck. It's so fun though. So many ideas that don't work, but so noble for trying.
Yeah.
It's probably the last time the movie that weird got that much money to get made.
Yeah, it's I'm hard pressed to think of anything since.
Thanks, Richard Kelly. You broke it for everyone else. I mean, David Lynch directing 18 hours of Twin Peaks notwithstanding. Anyway, Howard the Duck. We're coming up on 2 hours. I'm just saying stuff now. We're coming up on 2 hours of podcast.
All right. Well, that's Howard the Duck. And next week, we are going to be covering a little gem called Surf Ninjas.
Kwansu dudes.
Now, is Surf Ninjas available to watch anywhere?
It is not. Not that I know of. It's
No, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was out of print as well.
What studio is holding Surf Ninjas hostage?
I think it was New Line Cinema.
I think. Hold on.
That's Warner Brothers now, right?
Oh, maybe.
Let me tell you. Yeah, it was New Line.
That's what I thought.
Oh, Bob Shea. Thank you for all that you gave us. But yeah, I got us covered. Don't worry, gents.
Finally, our listeners will get their Rob Schneider and Leslie Nielsen itch scratched.
I need to get my Ernie Reyes Jr. itch scratched. It's been a long time.
And your Ernie Reyes Sr.
Yeah.
itch.
Oh man, Rob Schneider has red hair in this movie. It's so weird.
It is. Am I the only one of us that's seen it?
No, I saw it a bunch of times. I had the soundtrack.
Okay.
Travis, have you seen this movie? No.
No, I have not seen it. It was advertised like crazy to me because it was the ad for it was attached to a VHS of a movie that I watched a lot, and I cannot recall what that movie was.
Interesting. Wonder if it was Three Ninjas.
That's
very
what's
likely.
coming to mind. That's the only thing that I can think of is Three Ninjas, and I would see this in front of it.
Yeah, timeline-wise, I think that checks out, too. Oh, also, we forgot to mention, if you need your Tone Loc itch scratched.
Oh, is he in Surf Ninjas also?
Mm-hmm.
He is.
Oh, exciting.
Because he has the amazing line, "Brothers don't surf."
Brothers don't surf. All right, great. Great. Why had I clicked on this guy's name? Interesting. Kyle Pittman.
Yeah, Three Ninjas was distributed by Buena Vista and Touchstone, so I don't know.
Okay, so then yeah, that would make sense because that's I think would you say Three Ninjas or Surf Ninjas was?
Three Ninjas was.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, figure out the
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just search. Screen. Just go over to your parents' house this week. Look through every single commercial VHS tape in the basement and watch the trailers
from 1992 or 93.
Yeah,
and then I'll figure it out.
Yeah, just go to work, do some homework.
All right. So yeah, that'll be Three Ninjas next week. And in the meantime, Dustin, where can people find more of your work?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dustin Meadows, and my website's dustinmeadowscomedy.com.
Yeah, don't forget to plug that Jaws remake. I know it was a few weeks ago.
On my YouTube channel, Dustin Meadows Comedy, living in perpetuity until John Williams comes after us, or Steven Spielberg, or whoever. You can find Jaws, a collaborative remake, which is a scene-for-scene remake made by myself and about 30 other groups of artists during the pandemic over the last year. It's a lot of fun. We only have one copyright ding, so if you're in a French-speaking country, you can't view us because apparently one of the scenes used a French song that dinged us for a copyright. So if you're in France, French Guiana, or any of those, sorry.
That was the one market you needed to make it big.
France.
And Alex, how about yourself?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Alex Brunel, like it says there. You can also check out my website, abrunel.com, which features my resume as a local 600 camera assistant, focus puller human being, currently available for work. I'm just day playing and doing some stuff right now, but if you're a person who makes movies and you want me to make a movie with you, I will do it.
Cool. And you can find me at Travis Fishburne. You can also find the show at Who Watches Podcast across Instagram, Twitter. We stream live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch each and every week. Please subscribe to the show on any podcatcher of your choice. Leave us some awesome reviews and feedback. I don't care what country you're in. And so yeah, until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and stay smiling.